Welcome to House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer. Uh, Welcoming you here to House of Horns for the Rams post-game show as they steamroll the Saints 34-10. We'll have Gilbert Manzano on in a few minutes. He is getting his stories done for Sports Illustrated. So as soon as he's done, he will join us. But right off the bat, a very dominant win by the Rams over the Saints at home. I thought Matthew Stafford continues to make his case. I was asking Gilbert last week, or this week, I should say, during our preview show, whether or not if Stafford continues to throw touchdowns, if we could see him start his to make a case for being the MVP of the league, and it's starting to look like they're pushing towards it. He now has what is it on the season? I had this down. He's got 21 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. Really impressive what he's done this season, especially when we thought he might not start the season. He might be on IR with a bad back, and now he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league this season. He's got 9 touchdowns now in the last 2 games, and what an impressive way to come out in this game. I know it's the Saints. I know they were 14-point favorites in this matchup, but you still have to take care of business. I thought the other thing that looked really good about this offense was the running game. They ran for 171 yards on the ground, and led by Kyron Williams with 114. I was a little worried coming out of the second half when I saw that Kyron Williams was not the starter in the backfield, that it was Blake Corum, but everything was okay there. They just decided to go with Blake Corum in the second half. Puka Nacua left the game with an upper body injury, but Sean McVay did say that Puka Nacua could have come back in this game, but the Rams erred on the side of caution. So good news there. The other thing that I thought that I took away from this matchup, which was there's not a lot when you blow out your opponent, but 4 of the 5 drives were 10 plus play drives, which is good. They had a good balance again. Matthew Stafford hit 7 different receivers in this game. Another good thing to see, especially after last game with Puka, he hit 10 different receivers. And I thought my biggest takeaway in terms of what we saw in this game, again, using that 13 personnel, 35 of the 75 plays, which had a 51% success rate, and got 4 touchdowns as well. So they're starting to use their heavier personnel, which I'm glad to see it. We've been asking for it for a couple of years now, and it's looked really good. And then of course Puka Nacua being back just makes this team even better. The defense, what more can I say? Nate Landman with another fumble on the peanut punch. I mean, that guy's been impressive. I still have some question marks about his coverage there. He got beat on that touchdown by Jawan Johnson, kind of juke there, but hey, man, you brought him in here to stop the run, and he's been doing that. So good job by him. And then that penalty, man, by Byron Young, he should have gotten the sack there. It gets nullified because of the personal foul there. For the penalty on the quarterback there. I don't know what else. I get it was helmet to helmet, but still, I mean, it was a great rush there by him. He should have had the sack there. Tough not getting the sack there for him, but an impressive day for the Rams. They took care of business, and now they get ready for a big matchup now for the next couple of weeks. You get the next 3 weeks, I believe it's the 49ers, the Seahawks, and the Buccaneers. Those are 3 really big matchups. They're at 6-2, their best record since they won the Super Bowl. And so they're in good shape right now. This is what you want to see. You want to see them take care of business. But we'll see what happens with this team going forward. But the next 3 weeks are going to tell us a lot about this team, and just seeing this offense run real crisp against this New Orleans Saints defense. I thought they're still formidable. Their offense might not have been, but that defense is still solid. They've played tough for Kellen Moore. And so just to see them take care of business with those long drives, that's what you want to do, especially when you want to take care of business at home. That was my biggest thing going into this game is like, look, just take care of business. You know what you're going up against in terms of the New Orleans Saints. You don't want to leave. You want to take care of business and then leave with no injuries. Puka Nacua did get hurt, but it sounds like he could have come back in this game. But they were so the game was so out of hand. Why even risk it there as well? But just thinking about this matchup and what we saw today too is going back to Matthew Stafford and how good he's looked. And you know, when you look back at the beginning of the season and what we thought we might get out of Matthew Stafford this year, I did not foresee him having 21 uh, touchdowns and only two interceptions. So he's been everything you could have asked for, especially after the whole offseason drama, whether or not he was going to sign, whether they were going to trade him, and then he pops up with a back injury and he doesn't practice for most of the offseason, and then you have him, the last week of the season, the last week of preseason or right before the regular season, he's ready to go. So yeah, to see where he's at now has been really impressive, and now we'll wait and see what happens with the for the next 3 weeks as we get ready for that matchup, the revenge game for the Rams against the 49ers next week up in Santa Clara. If you guys have any comments, please go ahead and drop them, and we'll have Gilbert join us pretty soon. But yeah, I want to keep talking about this offense and how impressive it's been the last couple of weeks. Now it seems like they're getting in gear. I would like to see how this looks against a formidable defense. Especially what we're gonna see against the Seahawks and against the Buccaneers. That's why I'm looking forward to this next 3 week stretch. You take care of business today, and now you look forward to seeing what they can do the next 3 weeks. But and Devontae Adams, like that's another guy that I'm glad to see being used in the red zone. We talked about their deficiencies in the red zone this year. The last 2 weeks, it looks like they figured out some of that with Devontae Adams. He goes for five receptions for 60 yards and two touchdowns. So it seems like he's gonna be the go-to guy down in the red zone, and then using that 13 personnel also helps. It gives you more options with your tight ends. We saw Davis Allen in this game. We saw Tyler Higbee in this game get red zone opportunities, and so it just allows you to be more diverse in the red zone. And so seeing Devontae Adams kind of go off, it's really good to see. And we have a comment here from Happy Gilmore. He says Stafford definitely in the MVP conversation. I know McVay and him are gunning for the Lombardi Trophy, and yeah, I think the other question too that I asked Gilbert during the preview was, do you see McVay trying to help him push him towards it? And I think part of like the last thing he needs on his resume, it feels like for his Hall of Fame case is getting him some MVP votes. My biggest thing for Russell Wilson not being a Hall of Famer is the fact that he's never gotten any MVP votes. You can be a Hall of Famer if you never receive MVP votes. So Matthew Stafford definitely needs to be a MVP candidate one of these years for him to. I think that's the last thing for him to kind of solidify his case to be a Hall of Famer. And of course, it wouldn't hurt to win a second Lombardi trophy as well. But that's for later on. I just wanted to bring that up because I just thought, hey, eventually you're gonna see Sean McVay try to push Matthew Stafford to be an MVP candidate. And it's just with the 9 touchdowns the last 2 weeks and the fact that he's got 21 touchdowns and only two interceptions. There's nobody really running away with the MVP discussion right now, or I know there's been a big push for Jonathan Taylor to be the first non-quarterback in years, but he didn't have a good game today. So I think with what we saw today um, from Matthew Stafford, it might help him here. But we have our guy Gilbert Manzano here, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring him on here so we can get his thoughts. I want him to get his takeaways from this matchup. But let me go ahead and move some things around here so we can get him on here. And here we go. There we go. Gilbert, how are you doing, sir? Just give me
Good.
your takeaways from this matchup. I was kind of just filibustering there for the last couple minutes, kind of talking about Matthew Stafford's case for MVP. Just because now he's got 21 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So it sounds like they're gonna start campaigning for him to be in the MVP conversation.
Yeah, it was another good game for Stafford. I think that's 9 combined passing touchdowns in the past 2 games. So he's been going off there. But as you know
Yep.
me, what does it really say when you play the Jaguars and the Saints in the
Yep.
last couple of weeks here? So he's padding the stats. That's great to know. And, I've been saying this since the 49ers lost. Like, there's going to be a lot of weeks here where, like, they better look good. And that's all we can ask for. Look pretty good.
Yeah.
Because when that schedule that's coming up, finally, some big time games coming up,
Yep.
Buccaneers, Lions, 49ers, Seahawks, all you can ask for is to look good. Stafford looks good. The Puka Nacua injury doesn't seem concerning. I think McVay called it a ribs injury, but when he was in there, the ankle wasn't a problem. A nice deep touchdown pass on the right side of the field to Puka Nacua. Devonta Adams getting 2 touchdown passes. Terrence Ferguson getting involved. Tyler Higbee getting involved. More 13 personnel here. Kyron Williams getting involved. So you're playing a crappy team. You beat up on the crappy team. You handle business. You pass flying with flying colors all around. That's all you can ask for, to the point where, like, you're winning in such dominant fashion that we're talking about MVP here from Matthew Stafford. I don't know if he's going to win it, but he's up there.
Yeah, and I think part of what our discussion during our preview was, the reason I brought it up too is because, as I was saying just before you hopped on, was that my biggest thing with Russell Wilson and some of the other guys that are trying to get into the Hall of Fame eventually, for me, you can be an MV in a Hall of Fame candidate if you never received MVP votes. And I don't remember Matthew Stafford getting any MVP votes. So he needs it here for him to, solidify his Hall of Fame, his Hall of Fame case. And we'll see, like, that's for down the road. He still, another Super Bowl would help him make his case there. But in terms of this game, Gilbert, I thought, they rushed for a season high 171 yards here. That's the other thing, as you mentioned, the 13 personnel, which I brought up earlier. They score on 4 touchdowns run on those, and then the 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 red zone. It seems like they found something with Devontae Adams down in the red zone, and being able to run that 13 personnel has also helped them there. So something to use as they go forward with these next 3 matchups that I keep talking about, which is the 49ers, the Seahawks, and the Buccaneers, the next 3 weeks before they get the Carolina Panthers, who we kind of called might upset we didn't say they might upset the Packers, but we said they won't cover against the Packers, won't cover it against the Panthers.
Yeah, even that game is starting to be kind of a sneaky good matchup there. I
Yeah.
think Dave Canales has a very underrated rushing scheme there, and they finally went to Rico Dow, but that's a different topic for another day.
Yep.
Uh, and yeah, maybe to kind of go more in the conversation about Hall of Fame, I think Stafford is a Hall of Famer. I don't think he needs the MVP votes to do it. And it's not even just about, MVP votes. It's weird because he's a guy who's it's about narratives for the Hall of Fame case. It's
Right.
like,
Exactly.
do people talk about you like you're a top 5 quarterback consistently? I think they have ever since he joined Sean McVay. He every time it's like, oh, Stafford is great, great, great. It's all about the rave reviews, I think, which is funny because a guy who's getting rave reviews all the time in his career, even the Detroit days, tough, talented, just crappy team. He always had this narrative that he's always a star quarterback. So I think that's going to carry on for the Hall of Fame discussion, which is weird when you're that popular and you can't get MVP votes. To me, I don't get it. We've talked about this before because he was just lost for too many years, and it's all in Detroit. It's all about the new younger, shiny quarterbacks, the new weapons. So it's gonna be Lamar, it's gonna be Josh Allen, it's gonna be Patrick Mahomes. But to me, I don't think he needs the votes there. And if you get a second Super Bowl, now we're talking, I think,
Yeah.
first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's in right now, but not first ballot. So that's a good discussion to have for another day, or we're gonna have it so many times. I feel like in the next few years for Matthew Stafford, but they're right here. They're in the race right now, and you see the Packers lose. You see the Lions lose. The Buccaneers are in a bye week. The 49ers look, good today, but that was against the Giants. The Seahawks play tonight against the Commanders. So it's wide open. I think the Eagles are probably still the best team in the NFL, and that's somebody that the Rams know very well, have pushed them very well. So even that team is supposed to be the number one team in the NFC. The Rams have a chance. So it's setting up very nicely here. Again, I have my concerns, but this is not the time to do it. We're going to find out a lot more against the 49ers. A game they should probably have so much motivation. A game you should
Oh yeah.
circle since the loss at home with the shorthanded team here. You better have your best performance against those teams. If you don't beat the 49ers, then we're talking about a fraud here. But if they beat them, oh boy, strap on, because it's going to be a wild ride to the playoffs here.
I think the game that I'm circling, if I'm being honest, it's not even the Bucks, it's the Seahawks. The Seahawks look for real, Gilbert, and I think those are the two matchups, especially because and we'll get into it when we preview that game down the road. But when you look at Mike McDonald and the reason he was brought on to be the head coach was to stop, both Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, and so he already failed once this season with the performance at home against the 49ers. And so this is his time to show that he can handle these head coaches, and so we'll see there. I want to get to these comments, but one last thing that I was just reminded, and I have to bring it up, and I know we want to keep it positive. The kicking issues continue, Gilbert, with Joshua Carty. I understand that the missed field goal wasn't on him. There was protection, miscues on the right side here. So I'll preface with that. But what do the Rams need to do about their kicking situation? And is that something that's gonna be a concern going forward? I do have a quote if you want it now from McVay when he got asked
Yeah,
about it.
go ahead.
Okay, he says, "It can't continue like this. I'm not going to get into blaming anybody specifically. Ultimately, it's my responsibility. It's gone on too long, and we got to be able to fix it."
That's exactly what McVay should be saying. It's gone on way too long. He needs to fix it, and it's not one person to blame here, but it is getting to a point where when the execution is not perfect, when the protection is not perfect, that lingers in the mind of your kicker. Like, oh boy, am I going to have enough time to get this kickoff here? Is somebody else going to have their giant paw here to block my kick? And that messes with the whole psyche there. It messes with the way you set up the kick. You're trying to have a high archer now. You're trying to kick it in a different way. All of that's leading to Josh Carty now getting the blame here. I thought early on that wasn't his fault. It was just the special teams unit failing the kicker, but it's getting to his head. It might be messing with his motion. Maybe the coaches are saying, hey, maybe it's your trajectory of your kicks. Maybe you're the problem. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but Sean McVay is correct. You need to fix that because, like we were mentioning, the big boys are coming up. The 49ers, the Seahawks,
Yep.
Buccaneers. I won't call the Panthers big boys just yet. The Lions are coming up later this year. So you better have that fixed because it's all about winning the margins. It's all about winning one-score games. All about we saw the last time this team lost against the 49ers, the kicking problems were an issue for a close game. Yeah, you get a crappy game against the Ravens, a Cooper Rush. You get to play the New Orleans Saints. You get to play the Jaguars. Big whoop. When you play the good teams, you better have good special teams. So to me, I'm with Sean McVay. It better get fixed right away. And if it doesn't, it's going to be on him.
Yeah, I do wonder, Gilbert, just because they're gonna. Yeah, and I like the Worm saying that Koo is available, but so is Jake Moody. I just wonder, especially going up against the 49ers, if they bring in Jake Moody. I know he's not in meetings or anything like that he would know something, and these two teams know each other. I just would find it funny if it is Jake Moody who gets picked up. We'll see what happens there, but yeah, it's just it's the only thing that kind of concerns me, especially since we started the season with praising Joshua Cardi with his kickoffs, and that's been fine. But that's not what you brought him in. You drafted him. You gave him you drafted him high to be able to take care of business in the field goal unit, and so that hasn't happened. And so when I hear McVay talk like that, I would not be surprised if they bring in somebody this week and just to give him some competition. And it sucks because, like you said, it's not all his fault. It's also it's also, you know, some of the problems with the blocking, but we've seen a lot of blocks this year. I mean, I saw one in the Texans Broncos game earlier in the day as well.
Yeah, the problem is, it's like McVay can't get a clear evaluation of Cardi because it's not all his fault. And until the other aspect gets fixed of the special teams, like protection and the blocking, and you're seeing that Cardi's getting enough time to get these kicks off, and he's still missing, then that's when you cut him. But now it's kind of like a risk here. Like, well, who's really the problem here? So I think McVay is really trying his hardest not to do a premature decision here, and I think that's probably the most frustrating part. It's like you really don't know if it's a kicker problem because the other guys are not doing their jobs, and it could lead to maybe I hate saying this word, but a firing later on this year for special teams coordinator, Blackburn. If he doesn't figure it out, if the whole unit can't fix it, you know who they're going to put the blame at. So to me, if I'm the special teams coordinator, I'm probably very worried about my job because he's pissed off now about it, Sean McVay. And it's even worse because he has no idea if the kicker is any good because your guys can't protect.
Yeah, and you know, we'll see what happens now, but it's a tough situation, especially with the other two sides rolling, and the only one that isn't is your special teams, and so somebody's usually has to pay for it. Gilbert, let's get to these comments before we head out, and I get your 12. We give away our 12 pack for this win. Uh, let's start off here with Happy Gilmore. He says, "Got to polish up the players versus the 49ers." He did. I know it says the Saints here, but he did fix it in the next comment there. Henry Camacho says, "It's been a while, fellas. The Dodgers and work have been keeping me busy. Rams put away a bad team the way Sean McVay good teams do. I would have liked to see the starters rest in the fourth quarter." Yeah, Henry, same here with the Dodgers. uh, Halloween night, and then yesterday it was insane. And then he also adds, playoff pictures getting clear. Lions, Falcons, Packers all lost. So, yep. And then one more here from Henry. Stay healthy and play a solid game against the Niners because Seattle and Tampa are waiting, Gilbert.
You might have already touched on this, Victor, but are the Rams now in first place currently? No, it's the
It
Eagles,
might
right?
be. They're 6-2,
Oh yeah,
and I have
Eagles. Yeah, 'cause the
the
Eagles beat them.
Eagles. Yep.
Actually, the Buccaneers too. So there's a three-way tie in terms of record, 6-2. Rams, Buccaneers, Eagles. Eagles, I think, beat both teams, so by easy
Yep.
default, they're the first place team. Uh, but yeah, I think the way that the Rams have, one, their Colts victory doesn't look as sexy anymore because they lost to the Steelers, but that was a big time win there. Uh, obviously they took it to the Eagles until the final seconds there of the Jordan Davis return touchdown on the field goal block. But I think for the first time in a while, I feel like this is really wide open. I've been high in the Lions, but they don't look as mighty anymore. I don't know what's going on with them. And then the Buccaneers, I think the injuries are starting to catch up to them. So it's wide open. You gotta fix, like, the kicking game. You gotta fix. Like, you don't want that to really derail your season here. So, uh, going off the comments here, like, yeah, you got to feel good about where you are. 6-2. You already had your bye week. You're about to have the big boy schedule coming up. So to me, we're gonna find that a lot here. It's such a weird 6-2, and I could do this with any team, Vic. Like, even like, with the Bills beating the Chiefs today. I'm like, yeah, the Bills beat the Chiefs, but I see their flaws. Same thing with the Chiefs. I see their flaws. I see the Colts flaws. And nobody's a perfect team this year. Not even close. When I love that parity here right now in the NFL. But it's just like I don't know what to take away from this Rams team when they lost to the 49ers who were beat up. I don't know what to take away when they blew it against the Eagles. So to me, those are things I harp on here. But what can you do when you're beating up on the bad teams? You only play the teams in front of you. You whoop them. Perfect. We all crown the Colts when they're whooping on the bad teams that they keep playing. And the second they play somebody decent, they fall apart. So it's just part of the league right now. It's a week to week league here, and I'm tired of talking about, well, the Rams could do that. They could do this or that. Not anymore. We're going to see the big time games
Yep.
coming up against
The
the 49ers.
next
If it
3
gets
weeks
swept
are
by the 49ers, Victor, I think I'm going to press the panic button here. I think that game is that crucial.
yeah, I'm with you, and the next 3 weeks are going to say a lot for us, and where we stand with this team. I think we know that we knew they were going to win a bunch of games. We just wanna know where they stand in the league in terms of
Yeah.
are they a Super Bowl contender or not. And I think the next 3 weeks is going to tell us a lot about whether or not we feel that way. Let's continue on here with the comments. Happy Gilmore says F and Cardi. The Worm says special teams coaching has been awful. Happy Gilmore slow, like he was daydreaming, and he's talking about Josh Cardi. Um, and then one last one here in terms of the kicking situation. The Worm says that would be comedy if we got Moody. So that I'm just throwing it out
Yeah.
there. You never know. I've
Seems like the
seen,
people in the comments have turned on Cardi. I think
yeah,
I'm more like McVay. I'm like, I'm not sure if it's his fault, but I get the frustration. I really
yeah.
do.
One more here from Delver. He says, easy work as expected. We need to keep up the momentum as we visit the Niners. This game is good measuring stick from the last time we played them. Agreed that the schedule is formidable. Cardi will be okay. So he's
All right,
there
there
we
you
go.
go.
Positive on Cardi.
Yeah, I love it. Delbert. The Worm said gotta get Bones back. By the way, I did not know that Bones was coaching for the Tennessee Titans. I
Yeah, I
saw him.
did. I
I
was just
saw him
gonna
on the
bring that up.
screen. I was like,
He's gonna be
how's
a
this
free agent.
yeah, how's this team so bad with a bunch of good coaches on here? What the hell's going on in Tennessee?
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw him
Hey,
on
he had
part of the
a
game.
kickoff return. He's
Yeah,
doing his job.
yep,
So
that's true.
yeah,
That's where they showed him a lot of. They gave him a lot of screen time on that. I was like, oh crap, I had no idea.
yeah,
So yeah, maybe a reunion in the off season because that whole coaching staff is going to get let go at the end of the season.
yep.
Uh, and one more thing before we head out here, I would like to see the Rams make a bold move before the deadline.
Same.
A
Yep.
lot of teams that have been, I don't know if we're going to trade this guy and that guy, lost today. So hey, Trey Hendrickson, 3-6 Bengals. You blew it against the Bears. Give them up, Cincinnati. If the Rams want them, I kind of love that they're going for more edge rushers. F it, I guess. You need a cornerback, but you could trade Henderson in that rotation. Watch out. Maybe that could be the whole missing piece there for a defense.
Yeah, I keep seeing David and Joku to the Rams, and I'm like, where is this coming from? But I mean, they're
Ferguson's doing
using,
well. Or now all of a
yeah,
sudden,
yeah,
yeah,
with the 13 personnel. It doesn't make sense to me. But
yeah.
hey,
I think Njoku's a good blocker. Maybe that could be a reason for it too. I don't know.
yeah, but just I would like to see them make one more move. All right, Gilbert, give me your Rams 12-pack of beer player of the game here.
Yeah, I think you've been hogging the Nate Landman love, so I'll take him this week, and
Yep.
I'll drink a 40 with him this time. So
Yeah.
yeah, get the brown bag out, Nate Landman. Another forced fumble here. That guy's a machine. He's holding it down for the back end of the defense here. Again, the guys weren't really needed against the New Orleans Saints with the rookie making Tyler Shuck making his starting debut in New Orleans. New Orleans is just bad. I hope they trade all their players. I hope Les Snead is talking to Mickey Loomis right now because what are we
Yeah.
doing here? This team is
Yeah.
horrendous, and you have a lot of talented players. So just blow it up here. So,
Big
anyways,
time.
Nate Landman doing this job as always doesn't get talked about enough. So to him, I'll give him some love right here.
Yeah, give us everybody who's in the comments right now. Give us your 12-pack of beer player of the game. I'd like to hear who you guys are giving that 12-pack this week. And I started the show with him, and I'll end the show with Matthew Stafford. Like I said, 9 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. He's been on fire. He's starting to make his. They're trying to make the push for him to be an MVP candidate. And you want to see that for him, especially with all the drama that we saw with his contract, with his back, and during the offseason. So for him to kind of cap it with an MVP type of season this year would be great. But have a 12-pack, Matthew Stafford. Enjoy it. I don't know if you knew this, but him and Clint Kershaw play together in high school. Gilbert, I just
Yeah,
thought I needed to mention that.
I just found out that out, and I'm glad for Stafford's friend that he won the World Series to go out that way, and I'm glad
Yeah,
that Stafford didn't have to stay for the 18 innings the other day because he needed
yeah,
his sleep for a game this week. So, yeah, that was a good fun fact by you.
yep. There we go. One couple more comments. Delver says Rams forever, puros cuernos. The worm said, like I said before, both Crosby and Gold are eating wings and sitting on their couch. What the fuck? They're too old, the worm. And then the last one, there's some Chargers questions here, which we'll leave for tomorrow. Binky Matherson, though, we'll get to those questions tomorrow on Lunes Live.
Yeah,
And
still too
there was
early
said,
anyway.
split it with the tight ends today. So there you go. And then the worm
Like it.
says, Landman Punch Out, what a great addition to the team. So there you
Yeah.
go, Gilbert. That's our show. Go ahead and close us out, sir.
Yeah, and just to add to those positives, I know I tend to be negative, but tight ends stepping up, having a gem linebacker in Nate Landman, these are two things that are big time positives for this team moving forward. Where it does feel like it's setting up very nicely. Obviously, the secondary is a concern. You want to maybe make one more move there, but and the kicking thing is a big problem here. But tight
Jake
end
Moody, man. I'm calling it, Gilbert.
yeah, tight end and linebacker, man, those are pleasant surprises
Yes.
there. So I like where this team is headed. They're looking good, but we'll find out a lot more.
Yep.
But yes, new Jake Moody is there for 49ers week. We'll find out. But it's time to get going. Ya nos vamos, pues. Vámonos.